Good morning, Sunday School. Good morning to the young people. I hope the young people are still watching these videos. I hope that everybody's getting something out of them. Can you guys believe it's already August? I couldn't believe it when I was looking at the date and I'm like, wait a minute, August 2nd? Yikes. It's already August. We've been away from the church building for about 4 months now. I miss everybody. I hope everybody is staying safe. In the meantime, we're still having church. We're still having Sunday school, and we're still trying to do what we can to help each other, to be nice to each other, to be kind to each other, to love on each other. And so anybody I talk to before I end the conversation, I'm like, I love you because I really, really do. I miss everybody. And I just am so anxious to get to see you guys soon. I'm grateful to God for what He is doing during this time. Even though we're not in the church building, it does not mean that God is not still speaking to us. He most definitely is. He's made it possible for us to have Sunday school still and have church. Made it possible for us to use technology to still interact with each other. And so I'm grateful for that. I do miss seeing you guys smiling faces though. And, you know, I was speaking with our Sunday school superintendent, Miss Bellamy. We may try to find some ways to see if we can get some of the young people, some of you young people in on these videos. Maybe if we can't see your face, maybe we'll just be able to even hear your voice. So more about that to come. We're still trying to figure out how to make that work, but hopefully we'll be able to do that really soon. Our lesson for this Sunday, August 2nd, is titled Faith and Wisdom, and our scripture reading comes from James, the first chapter, the first through the 11th verses. What do I say to you guys? Every single week, pull out your Bibles, phones, tablets, whatever you use to read the word, and read James, the first chapter, the first through the 11th verses. Before I move further, let's hear from Miss Usher with our words of wisdom. Miss Usher always gives us a very, very good summary overview of the lesson, and she gives us encouragement and words of wisdom. So let's hear from her now.
First of all, I just want to say good morning and say a little prayer. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for letting me speak and ask you to help our young folks. Bless them, Lord. Cover them with your blood and lead and guide us in the way you will have us to go. Now, this lesson is taken from James, and James is the half-brother of Jesus. James is the half-brother of Jesus. And he said, ask, whatever you ask for, believe it. If you are lacking in anything, ask for it from God and believe it. And don't be double-minded. It's what's in our hearts that God is concerned about, not what's in our wallet. If you keep the faith no matter what you ask God for, you know, no matter how long it takes, if you keep on having the faith, that brings perseverance. Because you know it's going to come eventually. And that produces patience. We can't be wishy-washy. Oh, it ain't gonna come. Don't do that. If you ask for something, believe it, and you will receive it, no matter how long it takes. Another thing, I want to just interject this. If you saw me drop some money on the floor, and when I left, you hurry up and pick it up, would that be a good thing to do, or would you give it back? It don't have to be me, it can be anyone. That's what you call discernment. The ability to make good judgment. Some people might think over it, ooh, she dropped this $100 bill, I'm gonna get me some money. Or would you return it to the person? Which one would you do? Make the good judgment. So when we ask God for something, we have good judgment and believe in, and we will receive. So make the good judgment. Study the word and do what the word says. And don't forget about honoring your parents. The Lord wants to know what's going on in our hearts. He knows Our mind, he wants us to be right in our heart. So don't be behind your parents' back talking about, she make me sick. Don't do that. That's not right. And you will be held accountable for your actions. You ask God for something, he give it to you. He don't do no half job. Or he don't say, she didn't do this, I ain't giving her nothing. No, he does give us what we ask for. Think about it. All right, I love you all. Make good judgment. If you don't know, call on Jesus. Say, Lord, I need you. I need you now. Help me now, Lord. And he will help you. All righty. Be good. Have a good week.
Thank you, Miss Usher. As Miss Usher mentioned, our main character in our lesson today is James. James is the half brother of Jesus, is believed to be the writer of the book of James. And James is talking to the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes are the children of Israel who are scattered abroad away from Judea. And it's also known as or referred to as a diaspora. So that's who he's speaking to, the 12 tribes. But we can also get something out of James' words as well, because James is encouraging them in this lesson today. He starts out by telling them, count it all joy. It's not always such a bad thing when you are suffering, when you are going through problems, because patience, the trying of your faith worketh patience. The more you have to work your faith, the more patient you become. And he says, let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. So the more you go through, patience, the trying of your faith worketh patience. If you ever exercised, and when you exercise, you feel a little bit of pain, and you're like, oh, I'm sore, my body aches, but you're still excited because you almost feel like the more you ache, the better workouts you had, right? And the more you do it and the more you do it, the more you're able to take. The more you jog, the faster you can jog, or the longer you can jog. The more you walk, the further you can walk. You walk a half mile today, you work a half mile tomorrow. Next week, maybe you can walk a mile. And you walk a mile for a few days or a couple weeks, and then you can walk 2 miles, right? And so that's kind of what he's talking about here. Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, because when you're suffering, when you're having problems, you have to work your faith. You have to put your faith in God, and the more you put your faith in God, the easier it becomes. The more he does for us, the easier it is to continue to have faith in him. Sometimes, we look back, and even young people, even in your lives, you can have faith in God. And you can think, well, I remember the last time I had to deal with something, and I asked God to help me, and he did. And so now, this is a piece of cake because I know God's got me, right? And then in verses 5 through 8, James is telling us how to get wisdom. He's saying, if you want wisdom, ask God. He liberally will give wisdom. But he says, but if you ask him for wisdom, you have to have faith and not doubt. Because if you doubt, you're like a sea that's just kind of tossed. You're unstable, right? And so he's saying, and he calls that being double-minded. And he says that if you're double-minded, you're not gonna receive anything of the Lord, right? So when we go to God and we ask him for something, Miss Usher told us, if we need something from God, if we need something, ask him for it. He'll give it to us. If you need wisdom, if you want wisdom, because we all need it. If you want wisdom, if you want more wisdom about a particular situation, if you want more wisdom overall in your life, if you're trying to make some tough decisions, ask God. But then you have to have faith that he will give it to you. Have you ever been asked to do something, and then the person, they'll ask you to do something, but then they will come and follow you to do it. And it's like, well, if you're going to do that, you could have done it, right? If they don't trust you, if they don't trust your ability, they don't think you can do it, it can sometimes become frustrating. And you think, well, why did they ask me if they didn't think I could do it? And so that's kind of what James is saying. Don't be double-minded. Don't have doubt. If you're going to ask God for faith, you have to trust. If you ask God for wisdom, you have to trust and have faith that He will give it to you. And in verses 9 through 11, he tells us that the poor shall be raised. He's saying that the poor shall be lifted up and the rich shall be kind of knocked down, and so we have to be careful because and because in my studying, when he was talking about the rich and the poor, he was pretty much talking about the oppressed and the oppressor. So those who are oppressed, God will raise them up, and those who are the oppressors will be knocked down. And so he's giving them some encouragement because, he's telling them, when you suffer, count it all joy, because the more you have to go through, the better your faith, the more you have to use your faith, and you develop this patience that makes it easier to deal with the problems that you have. And he's telling them, if you're oppressed, God will raise you up. Those who do the oppressing, God is going to knock down. And right there in the middle, he's telling them, if you need wisdom, ask God. He'll give it to you. But have faith when you ask God for wisdom. Don't be double-minded. I thought this was a really, really good lesson coming out of James about wisdom and faith. We definitely want wisdom. We want more than just knowledge. We want wisdom from God to be able to best apply that knowledge in our lives so that we can make good decisions. Miss Usher talks to us about making good choices and making good decisions. And in order to get the wisdom that we need to make good decisions, we have to have faith. We've got to have faith that when we ask God to give us wisdom, when we ask God to guide us, that He will do just that. He will do just that. He will give us wisdom. And when we have problems and when we struggle, even in those moments, we can be wise. We can be wise and not let it get us down to the point that we can't move forward. Instead, that's when we exercise our faith. And so James is saying we can, even in those moments, we can count it all joy, because our faith worketh patience. Okay, and so then that patience will help us to get through whatever we're going through. So I hope you guys got something out of our lesson today, talking about faith and wisdom. Just remember, we are going to, some of our young people will be hearing from us, because we are trying to come up with ways to have you be an active part of the Sunday school lesson. In the meantime, you guys take care. Know that we love you, and we cannot wait to see you soon. Bye-bye.